11:30, right on the nose here in Fredericksburg, Western Edge Weekday Show. And as I promised, Steve McClintock is in the studio with me, and Steve's going to be at Songwriter TX with us this coming Wednesday. We've had Jillian Hudson on a couple of times here on the show, but Steve, this is your debut on 99.1 The Buck.
This is my first time, and I was taken to the Rock Box by Justin Heflin, who you know, to see Monty Montgomery a couple months ago.
What
and
a
I went,
show.
and I went, great show and a great room. Yeah. So when I talked to Boone Holden, he said, "Hey, why don't you come do it?" And I said, "I'm in."
We're glad we got you.
Let me find a date.
So Justin, man, he's a great songwriter.
Yeah, we've written quite a few songs together already. Yeah.
You know, I've Justin's been on here, and he's played some songs for me here in the studio as well here at in Western Edge. And great dude. He's also been a guest on Songwriter TX when we had it at the radio station. But I love that dude, man. He is as backcountry as they come. If you looked at him, you wouldn't necessarily think he's got the talent he does, but he knows how to write a song, man.
He's a really good songwriter, and he's a good deliverer of songs as well. And I went out to Harvard just the other day to drive around looking at land because we both like to do that.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
He's that kind of guy. Yeah. But he's a great guy, and his wife's just is wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful people. I'll have to get Justin back in here again.
You need to get him back in.
Yeah, I miss that dude.
For sure.
So tell us a little bit about you, Steve. We were talking before the show, before the radio listeners were listening, but you were born in Texas. But you've done the whole professional writing room, staff writer kind of thing. Yeah. That makes you like a professional songwriter, right?
If you say so, yeah. I'm born and raised in Texas, born in Fort Worth and raised in Beaumont, Texas. And really my goal was to get out of here as fast as I can and get into the pop world or the rock world, you know. Mm-hmm. So I went to L.A. probably when I was 20 and thinking, I don't want to do country music. I don't want to do folk music. I want to be a rocker. And, of course, in 1979, my first cut was a top 40 hit by Juice Newton.
Oh, cool.
On country radio.
Okay, you know? I gotcha. So,
I went, damn it.
Country snagged you.
Yeah, snagged me. Pulled me right back in. Yeah, I spent I want to move to Nashville in 93. And, you know, between traveling, because I was on tour with different people during that time. But I was there from 93. I think I got rid of the place in 2012. So that's a long time.
Rid of the place, yeah. Now, were you one of the guys that kind of got the Beatles bug kind of snag you a little bit? Or what were the folks that kind of lit you on fire?
When I was a kid, I was all about Elvis, you know, for me. Yeah. And then because everybody else that picked the Beatles, I picked Dave Clark 5. I wanted to do something a little different.
Yeah, I got you.
But I still love listening to all that stuff. And of course, you know, you grow into being a Beatle fan, you can't help it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just loved all the different music. I was lucky enough to grow up in Beaumont, where the one good radio station, Al Caldwell was the DJ, and he played everything. Yeah. From Foghat to Buck Owens to, you know, that's just the way it was.
If it was good, he'd spin it.
We didn't separate any of that kind of music, right? Yeah. So I got a really good education in music, from George Jones to, you know, Janis to, the Winter Boys, and, you know, they were all in my hometown, basically, you know, so it was all cool.
Man, that's super cool. Well, let's get into a song, and then we'll chat a little bit more. I know you brought some cool stuff in today to share with us.
Yeah, I'm always deciding whether to do a new song or an old song or half a song.
It's your world.
Well, I went on tour for about 7 months this last June, and did 4 countries, 13 states.
Oh, wow. That's a heck of a
79 gigs.
Man,
and
nice.
I wanted to write some songs that would for the tour, kind of. Yeah. So this is one of them I wrote with a buddy of mine named Chris Burgins and Mr. Hanlon there in Nashville, Tennessee. See what you think.
Nice.
Daddy shook his head on the day that I turned 18. He tossed me the keys and said, son, go chase your dreams. Mama held her breath on the day that I left, thinking her son was gone with the wind. I left the porch light to chase down the spotlight. Lord, what was I thinking back then? And here I am, playing my songs for you. am, showing the world what I can do. From long nights to cheap wine, sad songs to bad rhymes, they've always pulled me through. Here I am, playing my songs for you. Well, I stood at the crossroads more than once in my life. Stuck like a scarecrow in the cornfield with no home in sight. A girl happened by and she gave me a ride, and we shared a tonic and gin. Her dream sounded nice, but I still said goodbye. Swore I'd never go that way again. So here I am, playing my songs for you. Here I am, showing the world what I can do. From long nights to cheap wine, sad songs to bad rhymes, they've always pulled me through. Here I am, playing my songs for you. Your joy and your pain, they've all feel the same. I spent some time in your shoes. Here I am, playing my songs for you. Here I am, playing my songs for you.
Man, what a cool groove that was.
That's a cool feel, huh?
Yeah, I love that. Now, that's a newer one for you?
Yeah, I wrote that, well, it's about 6 months old.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. Dude, I love that song.
Yeah, it's fun. I just wanted something that kind of described my story.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, including the martinis. I really like a good gin martini. So, you know.
That's a good man, good man. So you and I were talking before the show. You've mingled around with some of the people here in the Hill Country that that honestly are some of my biggest heroes. Steve Gary is one of the guys that you've been kind of spending a lot of time with.
Love him.
Guy can write a song like nobody else, man.
Yeah.
And then you were talking, of course, you know Bernie Nelson from Nashville as well. You were talking about Dickie Kaiser, is that right?
Yeah, Dickie's a good guy.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, what since you've had kind of that experience with being a staff writer, you said you worked with Sony Records and several others. But now here, you also said that you were early on in like the Kerrville Folk Festival and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hate to put a date on it just because, but I did the New Folk Festival.
Yeah,
back in the and with a guy named Gene Medler.
Okay,
and we got to sit around and hang out with Peter Yarrow and play songs every night and do this New Folk thing. And I was on the festival itself and found somebody sent me some old paperwork recently, and there we were. And I finally figured out what the actual year was, because as time goes by, you go, I don't know, was it this? Was it that?
Yeah.
Anyway, and that was such a good, fun time, and I met a ton of people there that some of them have passed away now because I was the young pup at that time. You know? They were the older guys, Alan Damron and Shane and Kitty Appling were all touring around and doing all these shows, and I learned a lot from them, and I loved it, and I still love it. I went out there this last year. I went out and just hung out with a buddy of mine that was doing the New Folk, and had all these memories, and same old stage that it was before.
Man, isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's awesome, though.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So I grew up in Kerrville, and through the years, that folk festival, especially the New Folk competition, has just punched out a lot of talent through the decades that it's been around. But I'd be curious to hear a little bit about since you've kind of put one foot in the Nashville world, but also one foot in kind of the rural folky world. That's got to be an interesting way to kind of walk the line there, right?
Well, it's even worse than that, because I did a lot of work in the LA market for film and TV stuff.
I got
right?
you. Yeah.
So as time went on, I went, if you're not getting on records all the time, which is difficult to do, right?
Yeah.
What's another market? And I picked out that film and TV market. And with my publishing company, my buddy Tim James and I, we went to town, and we've had dozens and dozens and dozens of cuts on TV and film and multimedia stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been another route as a producer / songwriter / publisher to get. I wear several hats because I kind of felt early on I kind of needed to do that in order to move it a bit, you know.
Now, for you, since you come from Beaumont and you sort of pursued that Nashville songwriting bug, was there a lot of focus still on you being a performer yourself, or were you mainly zoning in on
I was not trying to be an artist, but I did quite a few tours. I toured with Victoria Shaw, who wrote The River for Garth Brooks.
Lovely.
I toured with her for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
And I toured with the Nelsons, Ricky Nelson's kids, for about 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went between the two of us, we went all over the world. You know, from
you probably
Japan
got some stories in there.
I got stories I can't tell. Yes. Yeah, but some good ones. You know, with Victoria, we got it in '97, I guess it was. Her buddy, and who became a friend too of me, Garth Brooks, was playing Central Park and asked us to open the show.
Oh, man.
So we opened the show.
That's a story right there.
For 1 million people.
Yeah.
1 million people in front of me.
Yeah.
I was the first one on stage, and it was, we had a 22-minute set. I think we did it in 18 minutes, you know, because I was like...
Those nerves kicked in.
It was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was great, you know, so I've been really lucky in my world, and, you know, that particular show... I think we did 3 songs that show that I co-wrote with Victoria. Yeah. So, you know, you get opportunities, you know.
Yeah, man.
You don't let them go.
So what's it like now being here? I could tell so I just met Steve just now, y'all. I knew he was playing Songwriter TX this Wednesday. We've communicated back through social media. And Boone had met Steve, the co-host of the Songwriter TX show with me. But I'm telling you right now, like I could tell in the little bit of time that I've known you in this 30 minutes, Steve, you're a high energy kind of guy. Yeah. So what's it like doing music now here in the Hill Country? Do you miss some of that? Are you still engaging in kind of the ways you want to engage in stuff?
I'm doing exactly what I want to do now. When I decided to get out of California for the large part of it, I planned this tour, which was going to be a 4-month tour that turned into a 7-month tour.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, I went to England, and I went to Denmark and got to play a festival there, nice. And with my buddy Tim Shue, and then toured all these places. I did 4 weeks or 5 weeks in Nova Scotia, Canada. Wow. You know, playing these different gigs.
Yeah.
So I'm still not trying to be an artist per se. I just want to be a singer-songwriter doing what I do.
Yeah.
And I don't fit certain categories. I went to the Songwriter Hall of Fame. My buddy David Lee got in there, and I went to support him and his family. And I'm thinking there, you know, all these people, they're all country and Americana.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, through my songwriting, I probably sold way more records because I've had the pop artist stuff, you know, with Tiffany and all these kind of things, you know. But I'll never be that guy that I don't fit that particular mold, you know. So it's interesting as I get older and I look at all those things. Oh, okay, that I can do, that I can't. Yeah, you know. Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Now, I've talked to David on the phone a little bit. I got to interview him when I was in journalism. Great dude.
One of my favorite people.
But I know David's got some strong opinions now about kind of the professional, you know, machine of songwriting. Yeah. Do you carry some of that as well? Or
well, he's not just an opinion. He's not wrong.
Yeah, you know? Right. No, for sure.
And a lot of us and me included, part of the reason I'm coming back to Texas because I want to get back to those roots, those things that made me who I am early on, you know. And I fought the fight. Yeah. You know, and I'm still going to do it to the degree that I can, you know, but it's not my goal I don't need to live in Nashville to do what I do. Yeah. And there was a time I did. I took a guy named Paul Jefferson there, and I wrote most of his material with him, and I produced him with my buddy. And we got him a record deal, got him a single out, and get all that stuff. Got him a cut with Aaron Tippin. That's Close I Get to Loving You.
Yeah,
I published that song, right?
Man,
so we did all that stuff, and it's good, but you got to be on that all the time, and it becomes kind of cliquish.
Yeah.
And I know some of those I'm in little bits of those cliques in certain ways.
Yeah.
But here is a different thing. And I like working with these people. I like being here. I just like it. And when first show I did here was Bernie Nelson got me on a songwriter show.
Right.
And through that's where I met Steve Gary and where I met Dickie Kaiser.
Yeah.
And those guys are real important in my life here.
Yeah.
And I love them. I play music with them. Played music with Dickie Saturday night at the Hunt Store.
Yeah.
Played the Saturday the week before with Steve Gary at William Chris. Yeah. I never played one of those wineries. I love that thing. Yeah. And they gave me 2 bottles of wine. So
they do. They take good care of you on the wine out there.
It's worth it. So anyway, that's been a big deal, and Bernie was kind enough to get me on that stage and show me off a little bit. And, I did a lot in the pop world. So coming back here, it's not exactly the same, but I still get to do those things.
Yeah, man, I think that's cool. It gives you a real rich kind of background,
Yeah, it does, and not that I ever planned it that way.
Yeah,
I just did what I did.
That's the path that rolls out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, do another tune for us, man. How's that sound to you?
That sounds good. Well, I got a song right now. I tend to push things out to see how they're going to do, and got a song I wrote with Wood Newton, who's fantastic Nashville writer, and Mike Loudermilk, and we wrote a song a little bit ago, not long ago at all. I wrote it to release it for February, this last February.
Okay.
And put it out in the European market to about 500 stations, and it's sitting 4 weeks in a row at number 2 still.
Oh, right on.
So, but it was written as a love song to people that could appreciate it. I couldn't love you more than I do. Cross my heart and swear to you. I might not show it all the time, but I thank the Lord that you are mine. Believe me and know that is true. I couldn't love you more than I do. I know I may come up short sometimes and make mistakes now and then. And no matter how hard I try, I'll probably do it again. I tend to hide my emotions. I don't always let them show. But if you question the way that I feel, there's one thing you should know. I couldn't love you more than I do. I cross my heart and swear to you. I may not show it all the time, but I thank the Lord that you are mine. Believe me, know that it's true. And I couldn't love you more than I do. I know it sounds like an old cliche, a worn out exaggeration, but I'm shooting straight from the heart without any hesitation. I promise with every word that's coming from me to you, I'll give it all that I got if you give me a lifetime to prove. I couldn't my heart and swear to you, I may not show it all the time, but I thank the Lord that you are mine. Believe me and know that it's true. I couldn't love you more than I do. More than I do. More than I do.
Steven McClintock, y'all. Man, beautiful tune.
Thank
beautiful. What is love songs? You know, you'd think there'd be so many of them. We would just be like, we've written all the good ones.
Yeah, how can we come up with another one?
We just keep punching out good love songs, man.
Well, you know, it's funny too because radio doesn't really love to play them anymore.
Yeah,
you know? They used to love
kind
those
of over
things.
love songs.
So right before this, I had a single over there that went number 1 for 2 weeks, and it was upbeat.
Yeah,
and radio likes upbeat over there.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I'll throw it out there. So the interesting part, though, the number 1 song is a cover of a song called Heaven by Bryan Adams.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's killing it. Yeah. So I don't think I'll get to number 1 on this one. But I'll settle with 4 weeks at number 2. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Well, that is a heck of a tune. The pop world and like the movie placement world that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm curious as a songwriter, do you shoot for those kind of things when you're sitting down and writing? Do you think about the placement when you're writing, or is it more like I'm just going to write what I write and let them kind of sort that out? How do you kind of negotiate that?
Kind of both. Right now, I'm writing with 2 people. This one guy lives in Aruba,
okay,
and the other guy lives in British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah,
and we're writing on Zoom. Written 2 songs, and our whole goal is absolutely focused on licensing TV shows.
Yeah.
We all 3 have our little connections with who those people are, and there's just a lot of stuff like in the Lifetime movies and Hallmark and all those things. They put a lot of songs in there, so there's opportunities, and so with those folks, Lucy LeBlanc and Bill O'Hanlon, that's our focus. But with other things, I'll be writing things that I just want to get a feel. And I'll pitch things and just because it has a good feel. And because they're looking for something not necessarily lyrical, or maybe they are. It just depends, really.
Yeah.
But give them a good groove of something.
Something that's got a feel to it.
And they can use it for different things.
Yeah.
And you may get some that has 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rarely do you get a whole song.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
So you have to be willing to go, because a lot of people aren't. They go, no, if you do it the way I want to do it, or don't do it.
Yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah.
It's just not the way I approach it. So we've been lucky. Lucky with a lot of work. I think you combine those 2 things and you can get some success.
Well, Texas is an interesting music market, and I always love like another fellow who lives down in Bandera that did the the Nashville Writing Room singer, a guy named Bobby Boyd who lives down there.
Yeah, I haven't met Bobby yet.
Yeah.
But Holland McKay told me
Holland, so Holland was just in here a couple of days ago.
I know, I really wanted to see him.
Great dude, too.
I had coffee with him a year and a half ago when I first met him, because I heard him live somewhere, I think right here.
Did you?
Actually.
Okay, yeah, he plays here a lot.
And he killed it.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know that the quality was playing live here like that.
Yeah.
So I really like that guy, and he's unique because he doesn't play the same game I play. He plays a different game.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it so much.
Well, in a way, that's kind of what I was getting at. The Texas music scene kind of prides itself with, we all got to carry on the legacy of Willie and Waylon, who gave the finger to, the system and said, we're going to do it our way, Hoss. And, if y'all don't like it, we're going to move on and do our, but the truth is, music is just like, in many ways, it's a job you wake up to and decide, I'm going to make a living doing this. I'm going to pursue it as a professional pursuit. It's got obviously a lot of its unique characteristics. And some folks, just like in the business world, make a name for themselves by being the against the stream people, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a whole aspect of the business that's like, man, I'm just going to do the craft, and I'm going to do the craft the best way I know how to do the craft, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Texan first.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Texan first.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to look out for us.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I read, when I was a kid, I read Willie Nelson's book. He was on the cover, Redneck Rock.
Yeah.
And that influenced me. And so I played with all those guys when I was 18, 19.
Yeah, cool.
I opened for Michael Murphy when he was just Michael Murphy, not Michael Martin.
Right.
I opened for Waylon. I opened for Willie. I mean, I just tried to get any of those Texas boys I could.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Let's love it. Yeah.
And I agree with that to some degree, that redneck rebel is in us naturally.
Yeah.
It's what we have. So, yes, I support that too, but I also have 2 children.
Yeah, right.
And I want to make sure I think there's a way to do both if you want to, but boy, everybody has their own path, you know. Mm-hmm. But I'm here, not in Nashville and not in LA for a reason.
Yeah.
And part of that is exactly what you're talking about. I want to be writing with these people that set a different kind of example.
And yet, at the same time, though, you've got the experiences of all of those places.
That's right.
To bring into your craft.
That's right. And some of the people I'm working with, Justin's one of them, Dickie's one of them. We're working together probably because I have some of these outlets that we can get some songs cut. Yeah. You know, they still exist. I'm still using them, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's an advantage in some way. But I want to, I mean, I'm writing so much right now. I mean, I bet in the last year I must have written 50 songs,
that's
60
awesome.
songs.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm on it with a lot of different people. I like co-writing. I love it. I got used to it during my, different publishing companies I worked with, because they'd sit you down with writers.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
You write with Tom Douglas, you write with all these different guys, and you write some cool songs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's so opposite of anything I've ever done musically.
It's not easy. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, and it scares the heck out of me. But then everybody who's done it says it is a great way to polish up a song and really put something together. So. Yeah,
for one of the things I do, Dickie brought me into this thing for Operation Song.
Oh yeah,
it's in Bandera.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're writing with the first responders and people that have been coming home from the service and wars and stuff and. They got some problems.
Yeah.
And the idea of Operation Song is to get a pro writer with them and pull out their stuff and write something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think I've done 4 different times now, and it's one of the best things I've ever done in my whole life.
Man, that's cool. Real cool.
And when you nail something, and this guy, a full-grown man that's been through, 17 times back and forth to Afghanistan and the war, and their tears rolling down their face because you're telling their story.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it.
Man,
nothing like it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the kind of stuff as songwriters. I think we have to find those ways that fulfill us, whatever that path may be. And because at the end of the day, it's an art, but it's an art that's meant to be shared. Yeah. Right, and so you got to have that. That aspect to it. Well, what I want to do is we have to, the rules of radio. I'm at the top of the hour, so I have to do a station ID break, and there's a news break here. Are you willing to hang out for a few minutes with me, do a little news break and station ID, and then do one more tune when we come back? Does that sound good to you? So, folks, you're listening to the Western Edge Weekday Show here in Fredericksburg. I got Steve McClintock in the studio. He's going to be with us this coming Wednesday at Songwriter TX, and this is a first thing for you as well. Paired up with a little young gal named Jillian Hudson, and it's going to be quite a show, man. Jillian's brand new to the business. She's just kind of getting her sea legs, but an awesome upcoming talent. And then Steve here, who's walked the walk. So I think it's going to be real cool. We're really looking forward to having you out there on Zoom. It'll be kind of a lot like this. So, but we can't give him everything today. We got to hold back.
I'm going to play one backwards later, just so that.
I love it. We'll have Steve back here in just a minute. We're going to pause for a quick station ID here at the top of the hour.
I love
Steve is back in here, or he's still in here to do one more song. I couldn't not get him to do one more tune with us. We were talking while the mics were off here about his background in kind of the pop world, because you had several cuts by Tiffany.
Yeah, she. I guess the number is 15 songs she's cut over the years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's crazy, actually.
Now I bought a Tiffany cassette when I was a kid. I mean, I was like middle school age or something like that, you know. Partly was because I had a crush on her. Yeah. But she had a great album, and she had a couple great albums, and there's a lot of your songs on there. You were telling me. So
the first album I just had, the one you have, the cassette you have.
Yeah.
I had a song called "Kid on a Corner."
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be just a kid on a corner.
And I still remember it. Yeah.
And you're gonna go home and play that thing. I know you are.
You know it, man. Well, the cool thing is, pop, like every music, even including country music, has evolved a lot through the years. But I will tell folks all the time when it comes to pop music, pop is some of the best songwriting the world will ever see, and probably also some of the worst.
Yeah.
And I think
that is the truth.
Because you can dumb it down to be the most brainless, repeat the same line over and over again, and just try to drive it into somebody's head. But there's also phenomenal songwriting in the pop world.
Yeah.
It's so open to so many different ways of approaching a song, and I love that aspect of it.
Well, one of the things I do love about it, like I wrote a song that wasn't written for Tiffany. It was written for this group called PC Quest out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they were a pop boy band with a girl singer.
Okay, yeah.
And so they did 2 albums, and on the second album, my buddy Tim and I wrote this song called "If Love Is Blind."
Yeah.
And it got released on the album here, and then Tiffany did an album in Asia in 94 or 95, whatever it was, and that was the first single released, and it went to the top of the charts.
Yeah,
8 weeks.
Yeah, how about that?
Right? Still never released as a single here.
Yeah,
ever. Yeah. So it's a whole different world. You play into those worlds, and it's a cool song. And it's been cut about 20 times, everything from jazz version to country version, and I love hearing that stuff.
Isn't that wild?
I love it.
And I've heard Bernie Nelson say this. When you write a song and you release it out in the world, you never know where it's going to go, what it's going to do.
You do not.
It takes a life of its own.
You do not. And sometimes it's not a good life.
But another thing I've heard, I listen to a songwriter podcast sometimes by a guy named Joe Pug called The Working Songwriter. And one thing he says is that a good song should be able to be sent a lot of different directions and still hold weight.
Yeah.
So it can be recorded as an acoustic solo song. It can be popified. It can be put as kind of an Americana track. And the good songs tend to be able to go a lot of different directions in the instrumentation.
Yeah.
The production of it, but the song still holds weight. Yeah. And I think that's kind of a cool way of looking at a good song.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. I mean, not everything falls in that format. There's certain things that are just country.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get too far away from it.
Yeah.
And if you do, you're not going to get liked by people.
Yeah.
Because they become the standard,
Sure.
But other things like this one, the song I was talking about, it's called "If Love Is Blind." It's been cut. You remember a pop band that went a song all around the world, da 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 da.
Yeah.
It was cut on that album in Germany. Wow. Sold a couple million records, and a totally different version.
Yeah.
Than Tiffany's version, and different than the way I do it. You know, so it's kind of interesting to get to kind of follow the path.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Well, play us one more song, man. Before, by the way, y'all, we were talking again. Steven McClintock is where I've been calling him Steve all day. But Steven McClintock is how people would find you as far as being a professional.
Yeah, that would be the. You might find it on Steve too, because I've been around a long time. Some of that stuff still shows up.
Yeah, I gotcha. Hey,
I was Steve in high school, and somehow along the way, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I got called Steven. I think it was one of my wives. Thought it was a good idea.
Maybe it was the in trouble name.
Yeah, it was Steven. Get in here.
It's Steven with a V, y'all, not a PH. Steven with a V. Steven McClintock is playing for us here in the studio and will be with us Wednesday night at Songwriter TX. Yeah, do another tune for us here.
I'm gonna stick with the countryish pop Americana kind of thing. Cool. I wrote this one with Wood Newton. This was number one for 2 weeks. I told you about it. 2 weeks in the UK.
Cool.
And I think this is worthy of somebody else cutting it. So I'm pitching it out there.
There it is.
Let's get a cut here. We're all taught to be careful, trying not to get hurt. You gotta make a plan and take a chance and hope to God it works. Make no mistake, if you hesitate, you'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. You gotta hit the ground running to make it to the finish line. If your emotional baggage is holding you back, leave it all behind. Once you've broken free from those who don't believe, they'll never see you coming. If you hit the ground running. There's no need to be greedy. There's more than enough to share. The spoils go to the winners, but only if you dare. Some poor souls will come and go and never leave a trace. Now the stopwatch is ticking for the whole human race. You gotta hit the ground running to make it to the finish line. If your emotional baggage is holding you back, leave it all behind. Once you've broken free from those who don't believe, they'll never see you coming. If you hit the ground running. If you hit the ground running.
Man, yeah, cool jam.
Kind of fun, huh?
That's so fun.
Hey, can I do a shameless plug?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for, to do shameless plugs.
I'm getting to play this coming Friday the 21st. Yep. I'm going to play the 5D as my last gig. Yeah. Last gig in Texas till May 10th.
Oh, okay.
So I'd love to get everybody to come out. They never do Friday nights.
Yeah.
They just do Saturdays, but they put me in to go, hey, come in and do your last show here.
Very nice. That's the 5D in Kerrville.
5D in
Steakhouse in
Kerrville.
Kerrville.
5D Steakhouse, and I start, 6 o'clock, something like that.
Friday night. This coming Friday.
And that's not this coming, but 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. Yeah. 2 weeks Friday, okay.
So, shameless plug.
Shameless
I'd like to see people that I don't know out there come in and say they heard it here, so I can
shameless plug it on Wednesday night, too. Yeah, you can talk about it all you want, man.
I will.
Okay,
thank you.
Very good. Well, y'all don't want to miss Wednesday night, Songwriter TX. 6 o'clock is when the doors open at the Rockbox Theater. 7 o'clock is when the show goes live. Steven McClintock will be in there with Jillian Hudson. And, Steven, we appreciate you being with us today.
Hey, man, it's really nice to meet you, and thanks for communicating with me on the Facebook app so I would know what's going on.
So, yeah, this is kind of a funny story. Steven reached out to me a couple weeks ago on Facebook. He's like, we got a bunch of fun mutual friends and stuff like that, wanted to say hey. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm hosting the show.
I had no idea. I didn't put the name together.
But that's the small world of the music culture.
See, that's what I love here, too. Yeah. Yesterday when I went to see David Lee and Jesse, I got to do 2 songs.
Yeah.
And a lady comes up from Dallas. She goes, I got a podcast. I'd love you to come up and do. That's how it works.
That's exactly how it works. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're blessed to be here.
Yeah, we are.
Part of this family. So.
It's so beautiful.
Yep. Well, cool. Steven, man, we're looking forward to having you Wednesday night.
I'll see you in 2 days.
Very good. That sounds great.
All right. Thank you for having me.
You bet. All right.